Well, it sure has been a while. I got sick of the flat earth, so I stepped off. I guess I get tired, yeah, that's a good word, of people that make arguments and can't support it. Like, it's simple. It's just like anything. Like, I'll use Trump, my favorite subject, as an example. And Trump is not my favorite president, just fun to talk about somebody who says tons of bullshit that is way over the top. Like the most recent thing, and it's hard to determine, like to pick one thing, but one of my most recent eye rolling moments was reading something about how Donald Trump says he understands wind power better than anybody. He's studied it better than anybody. And that's typical of something Trump might say. And the key word being better than anything anybody ever in the history of the world. Because obviously, Donald Trump can't do anything less than absolutely the best of anything. And yet, everything he says is instantly, well, even that statement goes to show you that somebody can say something and it's absolutely false. There's no way, like statistically speaking, it's absolutely ridiculous, ludicrous, for example. How is it that Donald Trump, a man who's made his money investing in real estate, specifically casinos and other dirty types of affairs, where, and if you like casinos, I'm not calling you dirty, but Donald Trump is dirty. You get into a business where windmills aren't really your thing. Like maybe you studied them a little bit, but the odds are maybe you hired people to study them and they gave you their impression. Or you glanced over an article you read once that was incorrect, or maybe even read a part that was misquoted or something, and then say that you know everything about something when clearly there are other people out there who dedicate their lives to studying that particular thing. They probably studied it more than you. It's just a statement to go to say that when you say something like that, you're totally making the assumption that anybody listening to you is going to believe that you actually are whatever you're saying you are. Smarter than everybody, more studied, more well-read, etc. When the crazy part that pops in is that what are the odds unless you can prove it? And in a situation like that, shouldn't be hard to prove, right? You should be able to produce documentation or some sort of backing for that particular statement to say, see, I have a certificate and I've got 52 years of experience in windmills, for example. Then you can say, I know what I'm talking about. Flash back to the flat earth in the same realm of thought. You say all these things like incredulity of physics, like some guy I recently hear says human beings can't survive moving at the rate that they would be moving on the ISS, as though somehow speed is the only factor in that equation. Like there's no possibility that humans could exist at that speed. Even though we set land record speeds, which obviously are not anywhere near what you would have to go to keep up with the ISS, but those land speeds, they don't hurt anybody unless, of course, and here's the kicker, if you're moving along at a fast rate on Earth in a car, or anything really, you'll be fine at whatever speed you're going at until you hit something or stop faster than your physical body can endure. The thing is, I can prove that by taking you over video or even out to places where people set land speed records. Maybe you've been to an area where they set land speed records and you've seen it. When you say that humans can't survive at a certain rate, you can't prove that. You can't prove otherwise either. You could say they seem to have no problem moving at 500 miles per hour, or even 1,000 or 600, whatever it is. However fast a jet can fly. Even the fastest jet, Mach 2, I think, was the SR-71 Blackbird. Maybe higher. I don't have all my facts, but we move pretty fast, and we can handle it just fine. The movement of particles can create damage on physical bodies, but it really takes a lot of exposure to that at high intensity, or long-term exposure at medium intensity, or extremely long-term exposure at low intensity, because it is a fact that radiation is simply particles moving through your body at an alarming rate. but your body repairs itself very quickly on a molecular level, and it can endure small amounts of damage like that. It can't endure heavy amounts of damage like anything else. If you were run through with a sword, your body couldn't repair that fast enough and you would bleed out, that sort of thing. But with ions and particles, go right through you. You don't really feel it, but it will add up. So yeah, there is that. However, we take steps to reduce that or to negate it completely, and it's not that hard to prevent particle radiation from entering your body, especially in space. And we can prove these things. If you have a statement about the flat Earth that you think is valid, it shouldn't be at all hard to just produce some sort of result. And what you see is flat earthers trying to claim that they produce these results, and look at how far they have to go and all the things that they have to do. Now, granted, the globe Earth physics and facts are obtained over centuries of observation and common sense. But if you're using common sense to tell you the Earth is flat, common sense tells you that if something you say does not match reality, that thing is wrong. It's just the way it is. If you can't reproduce it, you may or may not be wrong. But if you're producing a model that absolutely doesn't work, doesn't match reality, then you're 100% wrong. For example, we produce a globe. All the evidence points at that model. Every aspect of the globe model matches reality. And for the things that may not make sense to the average person, we have to think about higher level of thinking, like the physics of gravity or the bending of time-space. All the things that might physically hold water to a globe. What would cause that? Why is that all kind of locked together? So if you start putting the pieces together, here's what I have to say about the globe. There is a very, very small margin of error that this is accurate. In other words, we're so certain that the Earth is a globe based on all of the given evidence that the margin of error is an acceptable margin of error in most equations. However, if you take the flat Earth and you try to put that model together, zero of it matches reality. The margin of error in the flat Earth model is kind of lopsided, flipped from what the globe is. The globe might be 0.0000 to the 10th power 1, whatever the margin of error is. But if you turn that around, you have that much of a chance of being right about the flat Earth, because nothing in the flat Earth matches reality. Now, unless you put it maybe even one aspect of a flat Earth model doesn't really match reality. That's the thing. You can take one thing out of the whole entire argument of the flat Earth, like the sun, right? The sun goes around in a circle. Even that can't match reality, because as we know, as long as that sun can't reach an angle that's low enough to become obscured by the horizon, it will never be invisible. Because we agree that stars are much farther away and we still see them when they're at a certain angle to us. And the sun would never be able to go far enough to reach that angle. So then, you see, to make your case on that, you have to start thinking, well, maybe we don't know how big the Earth is. But we fly from one place to the other, you know? So we have a pretty goddamn good idea how large the Earth is. We know how far to go to get to Australia. We know how much gas we need in a plane to get where we're going. All of these things just belie your flat Earth fact, so therefore it cannot match reality, and therefore there is zero chance of it being true. And that's the beauty of science, because even though we're pretty damn certain that the Earth is a globe, we know that there is a slight possibility, and it's all so slight that we wouldn't even really consider it a possibility at all in mathematics or physics. But it is just a tiny, minute possibility, because nothing is absolutely perfect. However, all of the evidence points to a globe, and all of it matches reality. Whereas with the flat Earth, none of it matches reality. Do you see the difference there? Okay. So essentially, if you can't get your model to match reality, there is zero chance of that model being accurate.